So, good afternoon to everybody. In the last class, we have talked about hydrogenation of olefinic bond using the various catalysts, starting from Wilkinson catalyst, then Krupke catalyst is based on iridium, then cationic rhodium-based catalyst. We talk about it. Then Marx catalyst. Then we also talk about what is called as a asymmetric hydrogenation catalyst. Also, we have discussed about it. So today in this class we are going to talk about isomerization of unsaturated molecules. Mostly we will be stick to olefin. Then we will talk about hydroformylation reactions. So both this aspect we will discuss in this class. So when you talk about isomerization of olefin, it is a wide variety of isomerization can be achieved using the transition metal based catalysts. Mostly the transition metal based catalysts are used, and most useful transition metal catalysts are like ruthenium, rhodium, and other like cobalt, nickel. These are the different types of catalysts that have been used. Basically, the reaction is proceeded by the induced transition metal induced isomerization of double bond, and often the homogeneous catalysts behave better than heterogeneous catalysts, especially in particularly selectivity aspects. And the heterogeneous catalyst in this regards, the palladium non-carbon is known as a commercial heterogeneous catalyst for olefin isomerization. And cobalt catalysts like which is used in hydroformylation also play a vital role in isomerization, which will also affect the selectivity of the hydroformylation product, because when they hydroformylate to olefin, the reaction proceed with isomerization. You can see that the reaction proceed with like internal olefin to terminal olefin, and then gives that linear aldehyde as a major product. So these are the kind of processes going to involve the isomerization, where it has a lot of application. So the isomerization reaction in general, you see that you have the ligand with the metal hydride is normally having the catalyst. Then olefin, when it comes to the metal centers, then it is going to be coordinated through the metal alkene pi bond, pi allyl compound, by alkene complex it's going to form. Then there will be, whenever there is a metal hydride is there, there will be migratory insertion is going to happen. So by which then what is going to happen, metal alkyl complex is going to happen. The migratory insertion is going to happen on the, as per the Markovnikov rules, that is the hydrogen is going to add into the carbon having more hydrogen, so it is going to be added to the here, and then insertion is going to happen, forming the metal alkyl intermediate is going to form. So once the metal alkyl intermediate is forming, then what is going to happen is this metal alkyl can be reductive de-elimination can proceed, and it can give say either starting compound or isomerized product, depends upon the condition it will get. And the reaction mechanism can be two types. So one is via the metal alkyl addition and elimination, as I talked about previously. Basically the hydrometallation going to happen, the whatever the catalyst you are having, then first hydrometallation and forming the metal hydride species is going to form. Then the olefin is going to insert it into the organometallic complexes through the alkene metal alkene bond. Then what will happen is that migrated insertion of olefin to metal hydrogen bond form the metal alkyl complex by the Markovnikov rules, and forming the metal alkyl intermediate. Then the metal alkyl will be lead to the beta elimination and forming the metal hydride, and then what is called as the metal alkene bond is going to form. Then subsequently alkene will be relieved from the metal center and forming the isomerized product, and the metal hydride is going to be formed. So this is how the mechanism is going to proceed in the case of metal alkyl methods. Then the other way, it can also proceed with the metal pi allyl addition and elimination. So here is the metal center in which alkene is going to add into the metal center. So where the metal alkene bond is going to form, then after metal alkene formation, there will be a three center metal allyl bicomplex is going to form. So unlike the previous mechanism, it is going to form metal alkyl. Here it is going to form metal allyl intermediate is going to form. The metal allyl intermediate then subsequently going to form again the metal alkene complex of different types, not in the starting initial one. It is going to form different one. Then the olefin removal lead to the metal center is going to be regenerated, and then your isomerase product is going to form. The often we always use a cobalt carbonyl, iron carbonyl, or like rhodium carbonyl. This kind of complex has been used for the kind of isomerization reaction. Here are some of the example of more examples on the isomerization reactions, which is industrial importance. So you can see that the alpha beta unsaturated ketones are easily reagent and then yield high yield of whatever your required product in presence of rhodium chloride in ethanol. So here also like alpha beta unsaturated alkenes and then unsaturated ketone, and it is converted to another alpha beta unsaturated ketone by the isomerization in presence of rhodium chloride. The other one is like N-allyl amide, that is N-allyl group. So N-allyl amides which will be converted to cis-propenyl amide. So it is going to form in the presence of again the uh, chlorohydroruthenium triphenyl phosphine complex, which gives that this kind of isomerization product. Then another important thing is like allylic alcohol. If you have the allylic alcohol, in particularly rhodium carbonyl based catalyst, it can give isomerization, can lead to the what we call as a ketone. So these are the some of the examples on isomerization catalysts which are commercially more important, which is going to be more significant in the commercial point of view. So these are the some of the aspect about isomerization catalyst. Now next, so we'll be going to talk about what we call as about hydroformylation reaction. So hydroformylation, it is first discovered by the famous scientist what we call the Otto Röhrl in 1938 by the Oxo process. It helped introduce the functional group into the hydrocarbon molecule. These are hydrocarbons. When you introduce a carbon monoxide and hydrogen, we can see that hydroformylated, that is formal group. Basically, it is going to be the addition of hydrogen and HCHO, HCHO group into the olefinic bond. That is what hydroformylation reactions. The first catalyst which is used by the Otto Röhrl, the famous scientist, called a cobalt carbonyl, dicobalt carbonyl complex. The process which is called as a OXO process. It is one of the important process because we can introduce the functional group like alcohol, amine, acid, and any other process can be introduced. And you can see that the whatever the aldehyde which is formed in the beginning step, it can be converted into various other functional group, and this hydroformylated product ranging from C3 hydrocarbon, that is a propanediol, to C15 hydrocarbon can be easily prepared using these methods. Okay, and it is one of the large industrial scale process catalyzed by homogeneous catalyst. Till now it has been used for various applications. And here is the some of the most important commercial application using this catalysts are like a 1,4-butane synthesis from the uh, 2 propene 2 all, so which is going to be hydroformylated and give the 1,4-butadiol, where you are going to get a intermediate for the tetrahydrofuran. Then other one is like a 2-ethyl hexanol, which is raw material for the plasticizer, which has been prepared from the propylene. So when the propylene is hydroformylated, you will get a C4 components, that is a linear as well as internal C4 hydroformylated product, which is subsequently condensed in presence of base, then followed by dehydration and hydrogenation will give the what is called as a 2-ethyl cyclohexanol. So this is another important process which is used in the commercially using the hydroformylation catalyst. So the mechanism aspect, see as I said that reaction is catalyzed by the cobalt dicobalt carbonyl complex H2 sorry, CO2 CO8 in presence of hydrogen. By homolytic addition you will get a HCO CO4 intermediate, which will be decarbonylation and forming the HCO CO3 as the precursor. This is a catalyst precursor. Catalyst is going to be formed. This catalyst, the olefin is coordinating through the metal alkene bond. So here is the for the first second step 2 is a metal alkene bond formation. Then subsequently migratory insertion of alkene to metal hydrogen bond, that is cobalt hydrogen bond, and form the metal alkyl intermediate. The metal alkyl intermediate is going to form. Then subsequently CO is going to inserted, then form the CH2CO intermediate is going to form. Then the reaction CO migratory insertion of CO is going to happen, and then once a CO insertion is going to happen, oxidative addition of the resultant metal complex will lead to the cobalt will go from cobalt plus 1 to cobalt 3 by the oxidative addition of hydrogen to the metal center, forming the metal hydride species. Then reductive elimination will regenerate the catalyst as well as your product. So this is what we call as a reaction mechanism on using the Otto-Rowland process. So this was established by Heck and Breslow in 1961. The rate determining step here is the step 6, where the oxidative addition of hydrogen to the cobalt carbonyl complex, that is intermediate. But this catalyst has a lot of limitation. So catalyst loss, since it is the intermediate formed in the catalytic process is volatile. So once when you open the process, it is going to be loose. The catalyst is going to, you are going to lose. It required high temperature and pressure, because normally the reaction carried out 150 degrees centigrade, around 200 bar pressure, 200 to 400 bar pressure. So you know that handling carbon monoxide at such a high pressure is going to be very dangerous. And although proposed mechanism is like that, there are large number of hydrogenated product as well as isomerized product, and also various other products are forming. So the mechanism aspect not thoroughly possible to point out in here. Then, as I said, that hydrogenation of olefin also is going to have a competing reaction, as well as there will be a isomerization reaction, also competitive reaction, which again create a challenging in the this kind of catalyst. So since it has a lot of difficulty, later the famous company called Union Carbide come with a novel catalyst. So that is who was discovered. This was discovered. So the rhodium-based hydroformation catalyst has been developed by Wilkinson in 1968 to 70. So this was commercialized by the Union Carbide 1976. The catalyst used here is a carbonyl hydride triphenyl phosphine rhodium 1 complex. The reaction is preferred and form the linear hydroformulated product. The linear hydroformulated product formation is controlled by the bulky triphenyl phosphine ligands, because the first step here, the catalyst in which the olefin is going to coordinate. The second step, the olefin is going to migratory insert between the metal and hydrogen and forming the metal alkyl bonds. So this is the second step, where there is a very unique step in which the hydrogen is going to add into the olefin against the anti-Markovnik rules that we'll see in the mechanism. So that is the reason this catalyst gives the selectively linear hydroformulated product. That is, when you take alkenes, you should not get the alkene should not isomerize. You should get a linear hydroformulated product, which is favored by using this catalyst. But this catalyst has a limitation, because it has a costly compared to other catalysts. But then the solution was discovered by the Rohan-Polin process by the Ruhr-Chemie is a company. It's called as Ruhr-Chemie Rohan-Polin process, where they have replaced the, instead of phosphine, they have replaced with the TPPDS. That's a triphenyl phosphine triply sulfonated molecules. So when they replace this one, this molecule is water soluble. So once it is water soluble, the reaction is occur in two phase. Okay, that is reaction present in two phase. The catalyst present in the aqueous phase and product present in the organic phase. So after the reaction, one can easily separate out both the things. So that's how the solution has been sought out. And here the mechanism, you can see that the advantage of this catalyst, as I said, that the olefin can be hydroformulated exclusively at the linear aldehyd, that is in the terminal position, rather than, see here it is going to be hydroformulated rather than here. That is one. And second thing is, you can see the low pressure and low temperature compared to cobalt carbonate catalyst. The mechanism proceed by the first, this is a catalyst, your starting material, there will be T phosphorylation lead to the square planar complex. The square planar complex, the olefin going to coordinate and forming the intermediate, that is olefin coordinated intermediate. Then the second step, as I said, the migratory insertion of olefin between the rhodium and hydrogen and forming the square planar intermediate. This square planar intermediate formation will facilitate the linear aldehyd. As I say that the hydrogen is going to add into the anti-Markovnik rules, because instead of hydrogen added into the CH2 position, where it is going to add wherever the less hydrogen is there, carbon having less hydrogen, which lead to the this kind of product. Then subsequently CO insertion to the metal center, then migratory insertion of alkyl group between the metal and carbonyl and forming the this kind of square planar complex. Then the next step is oxidative addition of hydrogen and forming the octatal complex. Then reductive elimination lead to the your linear aldehyde product as well as the regeneration of your catalyst. So this is how the catalytic cycle is going on. So this is one of the most important hydroformylation catalysts. Till now it has been used for various olefin hydroformylation process in various industries. Then later, in 1983, the Union Carbide along with the Monsanto has developed another process where the another important aspects of hydroformylation is hydroformylation of C1 component. That is a C1 means the hydrocarbon having the only one carbon center, so which is nothing but either coal or syngas where the carbon monoxide is the. So what they have done is they have prepared, Monsanto has prepared a methanol from the syngas using Fischer-Tropsch process. Then subsequently they oxidize this methanol to hydro, that is a formaldehyde. Then they use this rhodium phosphine complex. It is a triphenyl phosphine. There is a error in the typing. So it's triphenyl phosphine when dephosphonated, it forming this square planar intermediate. So this square planar intermediate in which the formaldehyde is going to coordinate. Then subsequently migratory insertion of the hydrogen with the formaldehyde and forming this kind of CH2 metal CH2OH intermediate is going to form. Then CO going to be inserted. Then subsequently the migratory insertion of CO is going to happen. Then once CO migratory insertion is going to happen, you are going to have that CO inserted CH2OH is going to form. Then hydrogenolysis of this product lead to the regeneration of catalyst as well as your intermediate formyl ethylene glycol intermediate will form. In the presence of hydrogen, this is going to form ethylene glycol. So this is one of the most important hydroformylation process using the C1 chemistry. So these are some of the important aspect of hydroformylation catalyst. So herewith we stop the hydroformylation process. So far we have talked about hydrogenation, isomerization, hydroformylation using organometallic catalyst. So I request all of you to go through the slides and read it well time to time. Next class we'll talk about a olefin oxidation process. Okay, so till then